Good evening. Welcome to the American Rescue Plan Act funding question and answer session for the City Clerk Election Center. I'm Kayla Coleman. I'm a community engagement specialist with the City of Ann Arbor, and I'm going to lead us through some brief introductory information as we get started, and then hand it off to Jackie Boudry, our City Clerk, to give an overview of the project and introduce herself. So as we get started, just a couple of things to know about the technology. The video speaking and screen sharing functions are available to presenters at this time, but not currently to participants. The participants will be able to unmute themselves and ask questions a little later in the meeting. We'll have the bulk of the meeting time for question and answer after we get through a brief presentation and overview. The materials that we're referencing today, these slides and other materials about the ARPA funding are available at a2gov.org/rescuefunds. In terms of the technology, you'll be able to use the raise hand feature to raise your hand and be unmuted to ask a verbal question. There's also a Q&A window where you can type written comments and submit those for staff to respond to. In terms of meeting norms this evening, we're going to ensure that we avoid any speculation. We encourage you to ask questions so we can explore topics together. When you're speaking, if you could please try to be in a quiet area and silence background sounds. That will help us ensure that we hear what you are saying. And remember the importance of rights and dignity of others. So please critique ideas and not people, and be thoughtful about the language used so that we can maintain a respectful atmosphere. And if there's anything else that we should add for the meeting norms, please let us know. At this point, we have one community participant, so I'm not too concerned here about any disorderly conduct in the meeting. But Rachel, we see you there in our attendee panel. We're grateful that you've joined us this evening. And if any others join, we can review this material again. But feel free to let us know if there's any particular meeting structure that you'd like to ensure that we follow. So with that, I'm going to give a brief overview of the American Rescue Plan Act, which is the source of the funding that we're discussing. There was a more in-depth discussion of the funding, a little more detailed overview that was provided at a meeting on January 12th. That recording is posted on the project website. So that's a great resource if you're looking to learn a little more, but I'm going to touch just very briefly on this. So the American Rescue Plan Act, also referred to as ARPA, is money from the federal government to provide bailout after the pandemic due to COVID-19 for local governments. The City of Ann Arbor received $24.2 million, and the allocation of this funding was modeled after the Community Development Block Grant Program. There are federal regulations that stipulate how the funding can be spent, and so that provides some pretty specific guidelines as to what could be an eligible project. Those guidelines from the federal government are shown here at a high level in these 4 categories. So COVID-19 or negative economic impacts is one of the categories. That could include containing and mitigating COVID-19, behavioral healthcare needs, payroll benefits, rebuilding public sector capacity, and support for small businesses or other segments of the community hardest hit by the pandemic. Also, another category is premium pay for eligible workers. This can be used retroactively. It is applicable for employees who are deemed essential or those who are performing essential work and who direct or grant. There are direct grant provisions for this. The government services to the extent of lost revenue is another category for the funding to be spent, and that includes an amount determined by a prescribed formula. It could include cybersecurity and capital projects. And finally, the 4th category is investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, which could include building and upgrading facilities, construction of publicly owned treatment infrastructure, and other infrastructure building. Some of the important information about the funding criteria is that it covers a period from March 3rd of 2021 to December 31st of 2024. So costs can be incurred by December 31st of 2024, but must be fully expended by December 31st of 2026. There are some prohibited uses for the funding, and those include pension contributions and debt payments. The funding also may not be used as federal match. Associated with the funding are some pretty significant reporting requirements, and it's important to keep in mind that these are temporary funds. This is a one-time allocation, so in selecting eligible projects, something that we've been mindful of as staff, and something that is important in the use of this funding is that we avoid creating any new programs that would require ongoing financial commitment. And so with the $24.2 million that the city of Ann Arbor will receive, the city staff have begun the process by identifying eligible projects. There are 13 eligible projects identified, and the process to get to that list has included a close review of those federal guidelines that we just took a look at. Also consideration for prior direction from City Council about priority areas for focus. And again, the importance of being able to spend those funds by the 2026 deadline. So the timeline for the project was an important criteria. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jackie Boudry. And Jackie, if you could please introduce your project. And I've got one slide shown here, and if or when you'd like to take over the screen sharing to show any additional information, just please let me know or go ahead and do that.
Hi, great. Thank you, Kayla. So I know Rachel on the call. So I'm Jackie Boudry. And for those of you that may watch later, I'm the city clerk. And this project is funding for a new comprehensive election center. The project would create an election center that would provide needed space for staff to basically perform all aspects from start to finish of the voting process. That would include issuing and checking in applications and issuing absentee ballots, as well as checking absentee ballots in ahead of election day, processing those ballots on election day by poll workers, and then also space for staff to test in a secure location the voting equipment, storage of post-election returns, and ballots for the retention period, as well as we would imagine the space would include supplies and pre-election preparation for our polling places, and as well as poll worker training. So right now we are effectively in 3 different spaces to conduct this work. We have the election day absentee count board, which over the course of the last 2 or 3 even year elections has moved. We were in the Justice Center, we've been in the council chamber, and most recently we were at Huron High School due to the schools being closed during the pandemic. So the 2020 election brought a lot of changes, more and more voters voting absentee, which changed our process from a primary election day system to 40 days in advance of every election, this pre-work, mailing ballots, collecting ballots, checking signatures, and then just the storage of the high number of absentee ballots that we have each election, and then the number of people necessary to do this work. In 2020, because again, the pandemic, we found ourselves in the council chamber, and we have basically taken that space over for 10 to 20 temporary staff between June and November of 2020 to do that absentee ballot pre-processing work. And then of course on election day, we're out at Huron High because the schools are closed. So we find ourselves that post-pandemic, voters still like that option to vote via absentee ballot, to vote early, to come see us in person and do that, or to do that process through the mail. And we, as early as August of 2022, we will be short on space because the city council is back in their chamber for full-time for meetings. So we don't have that space. We're also renting a warehouse for the equipment. And during the pandemic, we were storing ballots and supplies in a converted conference room. So between the clerk's office, rented storage, the schools or some other public facility to do the counting. And then for poll worker training, we find ourselves between City Hall and other public spaces to do that work as well. So what we're looking for in this post-pandemic world for elections is to have a complete comprehensive center that allows us to have increased public confidence and integrity in the security of our system, as well as improve our efficiencies with staff being all located, whether that's testing equipment or issuing ballots, that we're all in one place. So that's basically what the vision for the election center would be. And I do have, I know you've probably seen the video, but I do have a few slides I can share to show kind of what we are imagining an election center might look like, and then sort of some side-by-sides of our current situation versus what our new election center might look like. Kayla, do you see that okay?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, so this is our project again, as I already said, and the estimated cost would be for acquisition of a city-owned property, as well as a build out of both secure space for the equipment, as well as a large space for the preparation of the ballots, as well as staff to work and issue and receive ballots, that type of thing. So this is, we envision, this is in Minneapolis. This is something like what our election center could look like. Not only would we be doing work preparing for elections, but the community could also, this could be a place where you could come and vote early, get your absentee ballot, register to vote. Like I said, in an even year election, 500 some city residents help us with elections, whether that's as a temporary staff person, a poll worker. So that this would be a place that the public could come to do all aspects of voting. So this is an example in the city of Minneapolis, what an election center might look like. So the biggest issue we have, besides just the fact that we've run out of space, is a true election center would increase voter confidence, the integrity of our system, and it would allow us to make some security changes. So this picture on the left is actually what the absentee ballot delivery from the printer looked like in August of 2020. So we had closed off, you probably, if you've been to City Hall, seen the council chamber as a wide open space, but it does have the ability to close off the walls. And so we had closed the chamber since council was meeting virtually at the time. And that picture is what the volume of ballots that were allocated to the absentee balloting process, what that looked like. And then on the right, this is an example of an actual election warehouse and what an organized, dedicated space might look like with the racks of mail and ballot trays. And then next, just additional election efficiencies. Like I said, if we're all in one space, people can be doing multiple jobs or communicating with each other. On the left side is our current situation. The supplies and the equipment are out in a rented warehouse. And then on the right is again a picture of a person actually working at the council table in the council chambers at City Hall. And again, that photo was either from August or November 2020. Both of those elections where we were still utilizing that closed off council space to do our kind of back office work with absentee ballots. And then on the right is, again, an actual election center and what it might look like. You could have people, whether they're doing the equipment testing or preparing supply kits, or the woman in the photo is checking in ballots at a high speed kind of, system to check in probably the signatures, that type of thing with the absentee ballot envelopes. So we envision that at a true election center, all of that work could happen at the same place. And so then especially whether it's myself or the deputy clerk, that we're able to oversee and check in with all of the different operations at the same time and not have so many different things happening at offsite locations. And then, of course, the efficiency I mentioned of election day, that we envision that the return checked in ballots that are ready for counting, which happens by members of the public at what we call an absentee voter count board, that would seamlessly move from the staff preparation area to a public counting room. And we would not be moving the ballots or the equipment to do the high-speed counts on election day. We wouldn't be moving that from the election center to like a Huron High School or City Hall, but rather from one place in the election center to the public space where people could watch the counting happen. So that would allow a very quick movement from the check-in from staff to the actual counting by the public poll workers. So we envision that poll worker training as well as absentee voter count boards would all happen at the election center. So those were just a couple of slides I had, and I'm open to any questions about the election process, what the election center might do for us, basically any questions you might have about city elections.
Before we, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jackie. I'm going to cover just one or two more slides in terms of overview, and then we'll have the rest of the meeting for questions. But just for process overview about how this broader effort to allocate the American Rescue Plan Act funding, how that decision-making process looks. This graphic helps illustrate what we have been through so far, where we're at now, and where we're headed. So there's been a process to identify projects, to refine that listing, again, based on those eligible criteria that we talked about earlier on. That list was identified. And then Jackie mentioned there's a video that's posted on the project website on a2gov.org/rescue funds. If you haven't found that yet, please check it out. There are videos available for all of the 13 projects. And we're now at this step 3, holding these community conversations and Q&A sessions. And following this, at the end of the month, there will be an online survey. And that's really where we're looking for input. At this point, we're making staff time available to get questions answered, to ensure that community members understand the projects that are on the table, and make staff available for any follow-up discussion. Through the online survey is where we'll look more closely at what is the community's preference as to which projects should be funded. Ultimately, council will make the final decision, and that's currently slated for March of 2022. And projects would need to be implemented, as we said earlier, by 2026. So that's the overview. I'll just show as a final slide the next Q&A sessions coming. We are here tonight at the City Clerk Election Center meeting, and tomorrow on January 20th, we do have 2 additional project Q&A sessions yet to cover in case you are interested. But with that, let me stop this screen share. And Rachel, you are free to unmute yourself if you want to ask any questions or share any comments.
Sure, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
You're coming through pretty soft, but we can hear you.
Okay. I do have one question for Jackie, kind of for the good of anybody watching on a playback, would be if this project is not ultimately funded, looking long term, what would the solution be without using, I guess, locations that were available because of COVID restrictions, not having council in chambers or the schools open? So if those solutions weren't there, what would alternatives be if we wouldn't have an election center?
Thanks, Rachel. I'm going to repeat that question because it is pretty soft, and I want to make sure for anyone following the recording later on that they can hear. So if I heard you right, Rachel, in the event if the city clerk election center couldn't be built, if it does not receive the ARPA fundings, what other alternatives are available for processing an election, assuming that we don't have those spaces available that were closed due to COVID or only available because of council meeting electronically? What other options or alternatives could be considered?
Thanks for that question. So like I said, when I was in the presentation, several of the biggest needs would be as, excuse me, as more and more absentee ballots are, more of the election is voted, I guess you would say, by absentee ballot rather than in-person voters. The size of the space needed for absentee vote counting is a critical issue. Our partners at the Ann Arbor Public Schools, as well as the university, have over the years been critical in the election day processing, whether that's polling places or space for absentee counting. So we would continue to look at some option if we didn't have our own large space, or whether that would be for election day counting a one-time use. We may have an opportunity to fit in the council chamber or the Justice Center for election day only. The more critical issue would be, where would the 20-some temporary staff people work for the 40 days, which is where the council chamber would not be an option for us. Some pieces of our current system are in a rented space, and we would obviously have to continue with that space. But then the election day counting would either happen at City Hall or possibly at one of the larger schools. But we don't currently have an identified solution for the basically that 40-day window of preparing for the election in the space we have at City Hall, because we would no longer have the council chamber or the extra conference room. So that's really a conversation that we're having right now for the upcoming August primary. We won't have as many people as we'll have for November, but yeah, we are at a crossroads with where we can fit enough staff and supplies at City Hall with the changing nature of absentee ballots and elections.
Thank you.
Oh, Kayla, you're
Sorry.
muted.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie, for the response. Rachel, do you have any other follow-up questions or comments?
No, nothing. Thank you very much.
Okay. At this point, I think we can conclude our meeting recording. So thank you, Rachel, for joining us, and hope that all listening into the presentation afterwards are able to benefit from the presentation and the discussion. So thank you.